Welcome back to 100 Steps to Startup. I'm Dr. Sean Wise, and this is Phase 2, Step 7, Picking a Customer to Serve. We have now entered the beginning of the discovery phase of the startup lifecycle, where we will focus on finding the problem. The goal of Phase 2 is to find a problem worth solving. Ideally, that problem will be one that people will pay to have solved. The best problem for you to find is one that you yourself have unique insights into. So your goal in this phase is to find a large unmet market need that people you have contact with regularly would be willing to pay to have addressed. That's the first step on the journey to finding $1 million startup opportunity. Now, many startup founders get the order of finding a problem and finding their customers mixed up. They start by coming up with what they think is a great startup idea, and then they go looking for customers. That's backwards. By following that system, founders often end up spending a lot of time and resources building a solution only to find out that early adopters won't pay for it or that their initial idea wasn't as good as they thought. Not only that, but founders who start with a startup idea before focusing on a customer segment run the risk of becoming emotionally attached to that idea. And this can prevent them from observing the world as it really is. So, in other words, these founders are less likely to listen to bad news or customer feedback about their idea and therefore are reluctant to pivot. On the other hand, if you start without an idea, come in as a blank slate, you are actually in a very powerful position because you are ready to listen to all the information being given to you. For this reason, in 100 Steps to Startup, we follow the Lean Startup methodology, in which you will start by finding those people you have regular contact with and then figuring out what their problems are. So, what do you do if you already have an idea? Well, that's fine, of course. But for the next few steps, please put your startup idea aside and do the exercises. Do them as though you had no idea at all, as if you don't have a startup opportunity. In the best case scenario, you'll find an even better startup opportunity. But even in the worst case scenario, you're okay. You'll simply wind up back with your original idea. Or you'll end up with a backup plan if your original idea fails to garner traction with early adopters. It's worth the effort to take what may seem like a small step back, but in the end, it will add tremendous value. So now you know that you need to start with a customer. But how do you look for a good customer segment to start with? Well, you start by finding the customer segments for whom you are uniquely poised to solve problems for. These are the customer segments or groups with similar characteristics that will become the basis for your startup going forward. By the end of Step 7, you will have found the best customer segments for you to focus your startup on. How will you know when you've found the right customer segment for you? Well, you will be able to answer yes to the following 4 questions. Question 1. Am I a member of this group? It is best to solve problems you have yourself. If you're a doctor, then solve problems doctors have. Being a member of the segment you wish to serve will not only give you access to potential customers, but it will give you insight into those customers as well. Question 2. Do you have a passion for this group? Ask yourself if you would serve these people even if you weren't paid. Remember, more passion is better than less. Question 3. Is the customer segment large and growing? Ask yourself how many people make up this group. You ideally want tens of millions of people, not just hundreds. So for example, people with smartphones would be a good customer segment, and blacksmiths for horses would be a poor customer segment. Question 4. Do you have regular contact with this group? Ask yourself how much contact you have with these people. More frequent contact is better than less in this case. Ideally, contact should be daily or weekly, not just simply annually or once a year. When you can answer yes to all 4 of these questions, then you'll be on your way to finding a good customer segment for you to focus your startup on. So let's get started. Print Worksheet 7 and print the completed worksheet examples. Then when you're ready, click on the Step 7 worksheet completion video to get started. I'm Dr. Sean Wise, and I'll see you there.